Hello everyone, Catherine Keller here. Today I want to talk about a hot topic. It's a topic that we can all relate to on one level or another. And I have been on both ends of the spectrum for this one. And I think it's something that no matter what age we are, no matter our background, no matter our financial situation, our relationship situation, no matter what business we're in, this is something that we all encounter, we all understand, and that is the topic of fear. I have been on the end of the spectrum where I was afraid to answer my door. I was afraid to go to the mailbox. I wouldn't answer my phone. I was afraid to even get out of bed sometimes. I was afraid to see my children because I didn't want them to see the person that I had become. I was on that end of the spectrum. There's no way I could have operated a business. Couldn't have been a business leader. I couldn't make phone calls. Are you kidding me? Pick up the phone and call somebody? That's crazy. I couldn't even face the other moms at my kids' school. So how am I going to pick up the phone and call somebody? I have been on that end of the spectrum of fear. But then there's the other end of the spectrum where there's always going to be little things in our life that come up that bring fear. Because that's what pushes us a little bit further. Every time outside our comfort zone, we're going to just push a little bit further, a little bit further. The people that are successful have come to accept the fact that fear is not necessarily a bad thing. Fear just means that we are getting ready to do something or thinking about doing something or taking a step at something that is outside the realm of our own comfort zone, and that is a good thing. This is a silly example. This summer, my children and I were at the pool a lot, and my son wanted me to go off the high dive with him. Now, I've been off the high dive when I was 12. That might have been the last time I went off the high dive, but I will tell you, when you're in your 30s, your 40s, in your 50s, the high dive takes on a whole new level of activity. It's no longer just fun. It's something that I really had to mentally work through and prepare. And this was not fun anymore. It was fun when I was 12. All of a sudden, though, like, I'm thinking of things that I wasn't thinking of when I was 12. Like, I could break something, or what if I just fall and on the high dive and I hit my head, and then my children are without a mother. Like, I had all sorts of excuses, but at the same time I don't want to be seen as a chicken, because I encourage my children to face their fears. So who am I to say, I don't want to go off the high dive? No. So I wanted to be an example for them, so I'm trying to, like, talk myself into this, but I'm visibly full of fear. And it was something that I learned, because my son's looking at me, he's like, Mom, you don't have to do this if you don't want to do this. Like, now he's starting to worry that this is not going to be a good situation for the both of us. But I was like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And so what I learned is that through doing this, and I will tell you, I got up there and my knees were knocking. I think the high dive has gotten higher in the last 20 years, because it was not that high when I was 12. It definitely was maybe not that high, but boy, was I scared. And I did nothing except for just close my eyes and go. I just stepped off, and that was it, and I was done. I did it. Check it off the list. I showed my kids I could do it, and we're done. But what I learned is that it was okay, because afterwards my son and I were talking about it on the way home, and he was laughing at me. He's like, Mom, you were whiter than normal. Like, you were pale. You had no color. And I think the lifeguard was worried he was going to have to resuscitate you before you even hit the water. And what I realized is that was a lesson, because we talked then about the fact that adults have fear. No matter where you are in life, whether you are barely scraping by poverty level, whether you are making 7-figure incomes, you encounter fear in your world. And one of my favorite acronyms ever was for fear, and it is false evidence appearing real. Well, and I've talked about this before, so you may have wrote it down already, but write it down again. False evidence appearing real. What that means is that we have false things in our brain that we turn into a reality before they even actually happen. So before I even got up on the high dive, I was already thinking maybe I should tell my son what type of flowers I want at my funeral. Like I've already slipped, I've fallen, I've broken my spine, they can't resuscitate me at the hospital, I'm as good as dead. And that's, now this is more on a comical scale, but on a very real scale. This fear holds us back from our life. It holds us back from taking an action step that we need to take today. It holds us back from being 100% of the person that we were destined to be, because we've so convinced ourselves that this false evidence is real. We've convinced ourselves that this is the reality in our life. And so from doing that, we are not becoming all that we were meant to be. And that is a terrible life to live. And I know that because I have lived it. I've lived it for years. And it was dark, and it was pathetic, and it was not living at all. It was just existing. And so for some of you, I want you to get fired up, because no matter where you are on the spectrum, you can view fear from a perspective of, this is something that's going to hold me back, or this is something that's going to make me stronger. And it's your choice. I don't care where you are. I've been through it. I've been through all of it, one end to the other end. And it is a choice, no matter where you are on that spectrum, on how you are going to perceive fear. You can either perceive it as something that is going to propel you and push you forward. You can see it as something that's going to motivate you. You can see it as something that you need to push through, or you can see it as something that's going to keep you right in the life that you have been living day after day, after year after year after year. You can sit right where you are and surround yourself, wrap yourself up in that fear, and live the rest of your life that way. Go for it. If you cannot find it within yourself to get over the fear, then that is the life that you will live. But for the rest of us, this is something that's going to push us forward. One of my favorite conversations I saw with Will Smith, he was asked, what is his biggest fear? And he said, my biggest fear is fear. Fear itself. My biggest fear is to live a life of fear. He said, I am motivated so that I don't live a life of fear. When I feel fear, I attack it. When I feel fear, I push through it. My biggest fear is to live a life of fear. And I will tell you, from a person who has let fear infest in her brain, in her body, in her life, that was huge. To look at fear from a different perspective, rather than it being something that chains and binds you to the life that you're living right now, it is something that pushes you to the next level. Whether it be jumping off a high dive, whether it be starting your business, whether it be taking your business to the next level, whatever it may be, fear is a choice on how you want to look at it. And you can look at it as, this is my reality, and this is what is accept that this is the world that you live in, or you can accept that it is just all fear is you pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. So I am hoping and praying that each of you choose to look at fear from a different perspective maybe than you looked at it before. Be accepting of it, acknowledge it, but push through it. Don't let it consume your life like I did for mine. So thanks so much for joining me. I can't wait to talk to you next time.